Hello. On Wednesday, the 27th of March at 1944, the sun moves into the fifth line of Gate 17, our gate of opinions that we've been following around the wheel for the last few days. Today, we have a theme of togetherness and the awareness that we can't do it alone. This sort of follows through from yesterday, where we had incompetence with the 18.4 saying that, we need other people or we become incompetent. The 17.5 might be projected on that it can see the natural order in the world and the interdependent nature of all things. The 18.5 needs others to call them out in order to create the correct relationships for correction to work. Or not. The moon is transiting through gates 28 and 44, so still in the splenic center. So maybe we'll find ourselves taking risks today, pushing ourselves physically, as the splenic center is very much related to the body. Would you like to go a bit deeper? Today is a day of seduction, when our practical solutions will save our reputation. Probably. The fifth line can be a bit paranoid at times, which actually is not a bad thing when you've got a reputation to protect. I have friends with multiple fifth lines. I have Hennis, of course, has 13. Stina has 7. And both Abe and James Alexander have 8. James runs analyst training and is very good analyst training, by the way, if you're ever looking for that kind of learning in your path. And he said that a fifth line can really help you in times of crisis like no one else can. Certainly my experience of all of these people. But you have to be ready for their particular kind of medicine, their unique delivery of the solution. And they have to be sure that they enter into the arrangement to provide this practical solution correctly. If they do, they are a force to be reckoned with. But if not, then there can be a build-up of resentment over imbalanced service to others. And of course, you know what this comes down to. The mantra of human design, type, strategy, and authority. So the 17.5, the line is called "No human is an island." And the lifetime learning says the recognition, however understood, that there is no end to hierarchies. Now, the exaltation tells us the ultimate creative expression of interdependency, whether as God's will or global synthesis. Opinions that can express the value of being organized, whether mundane or spiritual. Now, the fifth line is another one of those lines. It's a natural teacher. And the projection here is that this teacher can share something that is going to rock the world. If you pull this teaching quality out of the 17 line 5, you want your world to be changed. Ra said that what is projected on them the most in this particular 17 line 5 activation is that they can see people's place in the world. They can see the hierarchy. They see the power structure. They have the capacity to see the interdependency of things. Or not. And remember, the gate quality here is to serve or to rule. Perhaps the greatest service that we can give each other really is just to be left alone in a way, although it's a collective gate, but to be left alone and allowed to have our correct place in the world. Not to be pushed, pulled, prodded into anything that isn't truly us. Maybe this is our greatest service to each other. In the detriment, we find the arrogance, despite all the evidence, to claim that the buck stops here. The possibility of opinions that refuse to see the value of being organized. Ra said that there are 2 kinds of fifth line teachers. There's the spiritual and the mundane. Ra himself was a fifth line, so he would have been a fifth line teacher. Spiritual or mundane? You choose. What's your opinion? And we need both, of course, you know, in this dualistic world that we live in, we need all expressions of everything. He said there was a huge vanity in assuming that you know your own place, that you know where you belong in this life, but that's through trying to control it, you know, trying to make it happen rather than just being. When you're just being in your place in life, that's fine, isn't it? But when you're really, I've got to be this, I've got to be that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, then there's that vanity because you're not letting your magnetic monopole take you on the journey you need to be on to meet the people that you need to meet in the environment you need to be in. Being organized is mentioned in both the exaltation and the detriment here. The 17 is part of a channel with gate 62, and together they make the design of an organized being. When you look around this world, we're not terribly organized, really, not in a social context. But we're on a journey towards spiritual awareness where we can create a consciousness that is not maybe related to the form or not reliant totally on the form. We have a self-reflected consciousness, and the genetic transformation that is coming with the next mutation, that will be a reorganization on a level that we've never experienced before. The 18 line 5 is called therapy. The nature of this hexagram, Ra tells us, is all about the protection of the fundamental human right to find a common ground in which it is possible for us to have a secure pattern which we can live in the future so that we can evolve safely. It's quite a mouthful. This fifth line is all about finding the solution. Of course it is. Here you can have somebody who is always ready to correct the other, although perhaps not themselves necessarily. And then you also have the other who is always waiting to be corrected. You know, two sides, same coin. The lifetime learning here is the strength to recognize a problem and to accept that it is beyond one's power to do it alone. It's a collective gate, remember, and there's a strong theme here about not doing it alone. And we're in the upper trigram, of course. Now, the fifth line can't solve anything on its own because they have to wait to be called out. They have to be projected on. And you need someone else to do that in order to externalize and universalize. So there have to be others involved in that process. This is a line that talks about relationships. And there is potential for correction through relationships and the potential for mental instability where relationships cannot assist in correction. And this is another theme that sort of travels through this gate, the mental instability when correction cannot happen or isn't supported. It's collective circuitry. And it's a fifth line. Others matter. And of course, our relationships with the other must always be guided by our type, strategy, and authority. Ra says that there is no stability and no madness if you are with the right people. The fifth line can be seduced into relationships that aren't healthy because their seduction quality works both ways, the seducer and the seduced. The moon. The moon is still in the splenic center. Well, when we look at the moon within the context of the transit weather today, it brings us that focus. You know, what should we be focusing on today? And today it goes from gate 50 into gate 28 at 1301. So we've got the gate of the game player, the risk taker, you know, part of the channel of struggle who really wants to find out what is worth struggling for in this life, playing all kinds of high-risk games in order to feel the thrill of life, pushing themselves to the very squeaky edge. This individual gate has a fear of death or the fear of dying before finding that thing that is worth living for. You know, the other end of the channel here is the gate of the fighter. And I said a few transits back that it can be a really enriching experience. Although I'm a bit of a geek, I do acknowledge this when it comes to human design. But if you start looking at the mirror gate and also the polarity and the harmonic, because all of those together can weave such a delicious story. So you get lots of new keynotes that you can bring in to the overall context of the gate. And of course, where is that gate in your design? Is it in your design? Or is this something you're only experiencing through the transit? So here we have the gate of the game player in the channel of struggle, with the mirror gate being the gate of abundance of spirit and the polarity being the gate of caring. So perhaps the abundance of spirit can be found in caring enough to find something worth fighting for and playing that game to its end. And then gate 44, the gate of alertness. And that comes in again early tomorrow morning. So you might wake up to this energy depending where you live in the world. This is tribal. It's an awareness gate. It's alert to the patterns around what is going to benefit the tribe. It's pointing at the ego. The fear here is the fear of the past repeating itself. And also it's a memory gate, instinctive memory, the kind of memory that operates in the moment. You can't force it. So these are all the energies that we have around us today. We are still correcting our opinions in order for them to be logical and fit into a pattern so that the tribe can go forwards, the collective can go forwards, it's collective gates. And then we have these tribal energies coming out, the 44, as we end the day there. Lots to chew over. I hope you have fun with that. And tomorrow I will see you. We're on a 6-line day tomorrow, so the top of the hexagram as we move into the next energies. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.